Why denominations? Church, Christ, worshippers, everyone gets that. Denominations, hundreds of them. Why? It's a very good question. And it's actually got a very simple answer. So, the Catholic Church maybe aren't going to like this so much, the Pope certainly not. But let me tell you why Christ himself has ordained that the church will be split into many different sects. And although they're all going to argue about doctrine, there's a good reason for that too. So, the reason why there's different sects, and we aren't just a big universal one church, is because Christ was well aware, when he brought Christianity to us, that some cheeky sod, i.e. the Pope, was going to try and universalize it all into one thing, and pretend that he was Christ. Pretend that he was the perfect, infallible one that you should follow, and there wouldn't be anyone to argue with him, neither would he be able to be corrected, which is pretty much what the role of the Pope is. You cannot correct him, you cannot say anything against him, he's the guy who tells you what Jesus said. So in effect, Jesus can't speak without the Pope if you are a Roman Catholic. That just won't do. So, think about it like this. You've got Roman Catholics, you've got Seventh-day Adventists, you've got Baptists, you've got the ecumenical lot, you've got all these different sects everywhere. And they're all constantly fact-checking each other. Now, think about it like this. If they weren't constantly fact-checking all the other sects, how would you know who was wrong and right? There wouldn't even be a discussion, would there? The Pope would be telling everyone what he thought, and we'd all be worshipping the Pope through his magical holy chair. And nobody would be worshipping Christ. So, in a genius move, I feel, Christ saw this coming a long time before it actually became relevant, i.e. now in the end times, and made sure, as God previously had done with the Tower of Babel, the last time Satan tried this universalization trick, that there was many different churches that could argue the ins and outs of doctrine, the saints, do you do this, do you do that, do you wear this, do you wear that, how do you pray, when do you pray, who do you pray to? They can argue about it all day long until the holy cows come home. But if you're a Christian, you know Christ is who you pray to, Christ is who you worship, Christ the guy that saves you, Christ is the one who answers all your prayers. And he even says himself, you won't get to the Father except through me, him being Christ. So, in summary, why are there all these different sects? Why did Christ do that? It's because he knows human authority is not only completely fallible, but actually totally corrupt, and that's just across the board. No man can survive the temptation that comes along with great power. There isn't a single one amongst us who can do that. Or woman. Let's not be sexist. Women are just as bad as men when it comes to being corrupted through the temptations of great power, wealth, and riches. So, that's why we need hundreds of different sects, because it's like if you've got a family, you've got mum and dad, and then you've got like 3 brothers and 2 sisters. Say one of them steals your mum's credit card and goes out and spends wildly and then sticks it back in her purse in the middle of the night and no one sees it. When the question is brought up at the dinner table, who stole mum's credit card last night and spent loads of money? Everyone's going to say, well, it wasn't me. But mum and dad are going to say, that's not good enough. Nobody's leaving this table until we find out who it is. And then they're going to blame the first one. All the others are going to say, oh, it's not me, or, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to add their information in. And after every single one has been questioned in turn, we will find out who stole the credit card. Not only will we know who stole the credit card, through the testimonies of all, we will find out what else people have done and who is innocent of wrongdoing. Now, if you've only got one child and the child says it wasn't me, you're going to move on and you're going to blame somebody else. You're not going to blame your child, are you? But if you've got lots of children and they're all blaming each other, you are going to have responsibility and kindness brought out of you. It's going to be drawn forth as you care for your different children. And that's Christ's role in the church. Whether it's Roman Catholicism, whether it's Seventh-day Adventist, whether it's Baptist, whether it's Jehovah's Witnesses or some other cult type setup, it doesn't matter what it is. As long as they are a church and some of them believe in Christ, that's what I call a church. Whether they've got Joseph Smith and his weird tablets, whether they've got some made-up prophecy thing, it doesn't matter. If there's people within the church who believe in the divinity of Christ and pray to Christ, that's a church. Whether it's got corruption in small parts or large parts, whether it's got a pope or not, doesn't matter. The church is the worshippers, and so we know. Christ purposefully makes lots of different sects so that they can error check each other, and no one is more powerful than the other. And if one claims to be the most powerful and overriding of everything, even Christ himself, i.e. Roman Catholicism, we know that is the church of Satan, the synagogue of Satan, the same as we know with Islam, because they claim divinity for men over Christ, over God, and then they try to put everybody together into a oneness and say, you guys are all administrated by this guy, Mohammed or the Pope or whoever it currently is, and he's the guy who tells you what God is and who God is and what God says, so you're actually worshipping him. But that can't happen while there's many churches all arguing, because the one thing they're all going to agree on is, we're not following this guy, he's not God. And that's why Christ did it. So, that's the end of this video. Hope I made that clear, but it is pretty clear to me. Not only are sects having lots of not only is having lots of sex good, but it is necessary so that Christ can administrate us directly, indirectly through the churches, and so that we can keep the churches honest, because they clearly need that help. So that's the end of this video. Hope I taught you something and you enjoyed this. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Having lots of sects is good. Daily Corvid, shut up, you idiot. So anyway, just thought I'd drop that one on you, and I would solve the problem forever. Nobody shall ever argue again or bring this up after now.